November 1931. The hospital ward smells of industrial cleaners and human distress. Nurses bustle, rarely making eye contact, some of them trying to be kind, but this ward of the hospital is where people go to die. There's a snow falling over Boston as the sun sets. From the bed, the view out toward Marblehead can just be made out through the dirty layer of glass. And the dim reflection of your thinning face is staring back at you. People say those eyes are dead eyes. How did that happen?
As I'm looking outside at the falling snow, I remember my drunken father on one of those Friday night after work, drinking in the small apartment of South Boston, telling me that it's my fault, that I have no mother, that it's my fault that she died giving birth to me, and that's the life I deserve. I always felt like either I don't belong here, I should have taken her place, but what can I do when you are like 10-year-old, not understanding much of this gibberish? Today I'm looking outside, thinking to myself, that's my turn now. But somehow I'm still here, and snow's still falling. What am I supposed to do?
The nurse comes, checks the flow of the transfusion, and not in a motherly way, in the semblance of a motherly way, pats you. This would be better if you slept. Boston, 1923. Near the Scott Farm. Scott Farm is, of course, now the very posh, high society home of the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight. Standing next to you, staring out over the gardens, is Dr. Edward Call. Dr. Call is fidgeting with his heavy silver signet ring, which bears the same logo as the decorations that mark the house. This hermetic order, a bunch of rich people playing at the occult, talking to ghosts, summoning spirits. So trendy now. Dr. Call is highly placed in this hermetic order. The number 2 man in the O'Shaughnessy mob, Mickey, the Fist O'Shaughnessy, has sent you here today to make sure that one of the members of the club, of this hermetic order of the Silver Twilight, pays. You don't have to talk to him. He just needs to see you. The complication is Mickey has recently become the brother-in-law to Dr. Call. Dr. Call having married his sister and, some people say, inadvertently marrying into the mob without knowing it. But he looks a little too smart for that.
I arrive at the farm. I have my hat very low, and I wear this wool black long jacket. I have a very nice wool black again scarf around the neck. Just very clean outfit. Clean boots, leather, and with a very honest and strong stance, I approach the doctor, and I stay in front of the porch. I don't even climb the stairs. He's already there, opening the door. I see him. I look at him. Keep my hat low. I have my hand. I put my hand in my pants pocket that I will wear very high. I have a lot of room at the bottom, showing a lot of my boots, and I put my crouch up front in a very, very wide, not an horse stance, but a very wide stance. The crouch up front, and putting the jacket behind my back. I put the cigarette away. I say, "Sir, you know why I'm here."
He's here. Don't want any trouble here. If you wait here, I'll bring him outside.
Oh, I'm not going anywhere.
You're Calloway, right?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Dr. Call turns, goes back through the door, and not too much time passes before he comes back outside. He's got a big cigar, and with slightly shaking hands, not at all normal for the doctor, he's passing another cigar to your target. He steps out onto the porch, again with slightly shaking hands, with the silver glinting off of his ring. He starts lighting his cigar. The other man, silk suit, silk shirt, silk tie, just laughing and completely unaware of the Judas kiss that this cigar is, until he sees you. And his fat, fleshy face, under its heavy tan, pales.
I hope you have good news. Must have something for me.
And he's doing that, looking to the left and looking to the right, looking for help, and then that already too late gesture with that thick, expensive cigar still stuck between his fat fingers, patting pockets that are empty. He's out for the night. He's at his club. He won't need money here. He doesn't have what is needed. He knows it. And you can see that excuse that they all make. They need more time, starting to bubble up, wrapped in fear.
I look down on my right foot, and I see a little bit of slushy snow, dirty mud on my boot. So I slowly squat and clean it up with my right hand, and then slowly, very very slow, squat up, clean my hands, put my hand back in my pocket, put the crouch in the front, and then I lift my head to look at him. Now I can see, just to make sure that he sees my face. And I have no expression at all. And I say, okay, what am I supposed to say to Mickey? Enlighten me.
Um, he'll he'll have it all. Um, the meeting here will go to about 9. Uh, he can have it all. I'll bring it to his house at 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock tonight. I can bring it.
Make it 10.
10 o'clock. And he's looking at Call like for permission. Right? I can go. Call's got a mean streak in him somehow. He's like, well, I don't know. think you're going to have to decide.
I'm
10 o'clock.
looking at
I'll
the,
be there at 10 o'clock.
I'm looking at Dr. Call, and I say, that's a lovely daughter you have there. And those are lovely rings. It would be a shame to take off some of those fingers just in order to get the rings. But hey, don't worry. You say 10 o'clock. We're good sport. Let me go back and tell Mickey what you just said to me. And then I nut my hat very slowly and turn around, keep my hands in my pocket with the wide stance, almost walking like a penguin back to the car. Slowly, very, very, very slowly.
Car window becomes hospital window. It's not 1923. Scott Farm burned down a long time ago. Dr. Call isn't a well-respected doctor anymore. He works for the mob. And one day, maybe the mob will work for him. And the machine keeps clicking. Maybe easing the leukemia. Maybe not.
When paper is worth more than the money printed on it, working men would rather risk blindness than stay sober, and an honest day's work pays in promises and stale bread. What kind of man turns to what cowards call crime, but name in their hearts is murder? Thumbs wag, and fingers point at the gunsels, the black sheep, heads shake, disapproval, and boasts of what would be different if someone had just taken charge, or if no rod had been spared on pinstripe boys playing as men. Things would be better if folk had just listened to me, they say, and sigh at the loss of the perfect world that could have been. With the broken dream of farmland blotting out the sun, with bankers proving Newton right and lurid splashes of failure along the cracked pavement of other people's hopes, with all the old lies tottering on crutches and frantic grins through the freshly painted doors of cathedrals and speakeasies alike. The kind of man asks if what he is thinking and doing is right. Not the killers, that's for damn sure.
At the end of its cycle, the nurse pats you again, professionally. You're looking better. Have you gained some weight?
Looking at her, the face is very, very skinny. I have like a 2 day stubble. Big black rings around my eyes. What can I say? What do you think? You tell me.
Well, I think we keep positive, right? She's trying to, offering her arms to help you up.
Grab her arm. I slowly wake up, thinking to myself, damn, I'm getting weak. This is bad. You know, most of the time when I'm doing these transfusions, I'm thinking about the old days. You know, when the simple look at me was making people look away, giving me a sense of comfort in this kind of loneliness where there's big, thick space between me and the world. And now people look and they stare and they even seem to talk sometimes. And I feel like this layer between me and the world is getting thinner as I'm losing weight. Now I need help from a lady to get out of bed. Times are changing. They're not changing for the good. And I'm thinking that how long is it going to be? As I stand up out of the bed,
There's some men waiting for you. I'm pretty sure one of them is Rory O'Shaughnessy, Mickey's kid. If you don't want to see them, there's another way off this ward.
nah. Tell them I'll be there in a couple minutes.
Oh, okay. Your clothes are here and just through there. She
Thank you, man.
nods, and then on her way out of this ward, she's quickly called away to deal with one of the many emergencies. But that commotion in the background, there's a face you recognize. The doctor is starting to wrap the head of that private detective, Driscoll, Eddie Driscoll. He sometimes gets in the newspaper. Why he stands out is that his office is next to Edward Call's office. And the nurse was right. It is Rory O'Shaughnessy. He's standing there with two thugs, two young guys, not your generation. Their faces are familiar, but they're never going to climb the ranks, right? They'll be opening doors at speakeasies for their whole careers or throwing fights in the ring. They're leaning in on Driscoll. But Rory catches your eye, nods, says something to them, and comes to you, taking his hat off as he comes.
I managed to get dressed. Before that, I stick my chest out, trying to stay straight as much as possible. I know my movements are slower than ever, even slower than before. I always was slow, but now I'm slow. And I try to look straight, try to not show all of the many details expressing my weakness and my condition. And as he comes toward me, I stick my hand in my pocket, put the crouch up front, and look at him and say, "What can I do for you, sir?" Not looking at all at the two other goons. Not even like they're not there. Just right straight into the eye of Mickey's son.
Don't worry. Well, I do need you to do something. But hopefully it will be something you want to do. They were supposed to drive you, but I'll drive you. The boss. He doesn't want you. He doesn't want you staying on your own anymore. He's worried about you, and he wants to ask you one more time to come stay at the house with him.
All right. Drive me over.
Thank you, Jimmy. You know, he'd have yelled at me for an hour if you didn't come.
No worry. No worry, kiddo. I'll do it.
You want to get something to eat first?
Ah, ain't hungry.
Yeah. All right. He gets the two goons, the two muscleheads, to repeat their instructions to him on your way out. Sign him out. Take him to the doc's office. No detours. Don't ask him any questions. Just take him there. Repeat it back to me. And they do. Then he kind of slaps Eddie on the shoulder. Says, "You better tell the truth to the consultant." Eddie just looks trapped. All right, let's go.
And I stick my hand out of my pocket, make a sign, a polite sign to let him walk in front of me.
He leads the way.
Follow.
Outside, one of many familiar cars, right? Beautifully maintained on the outside. Nice, comfortable on the inside. Rory speaks to the driver, right? Driver runs off. Rory gets into the driver's seat. Sit anywhere you like. Front or back. You don't have to talk to me if you don't want to.
I sit in the back, silent. I look outside and I think to myself, what am I supposed to do? I'm barely making any more money. Last job I made was weeks, maybe a month and a half ago. My clothes are old. Everybody knows it. My apartment, I can't even clean anymore. Don't get the energy to clean anymore. There's no way I'm gonna go live at the house with these guys. No way. That would be the end of me. What am I supposed to do? Should I show appreciation? Shall I show that I'm insulted just to make them understand that they go out of their bounds? And looking at the window, silent, try to figure out a way of being, this new way of being. Try to find my place in this new situation. I'm being drove now. It's very uncomfortable.
The drive is not a long one, going from the hospital up into the heights where the houses get bigger and the yards get bigger, and then they become walled. And as you're driven up to the boss's mansion, Rory respects your choice to sit in the back and doesn't interrupt your thoughts. Occasionally hums to himself and then cuts himself off when he notices. He's a flashy guy, Rory. He likes guns. He likes women. He's everything his father is. Strong-willed, impulsive, ladies' man. If someone bumps Mickey off, or if Mickey retires, Rory will fill that number 2 spot. Everybody knows it. Unless Rory gets himself killed first over something stupid. But right now, Rory is more like that little boy he was back in the 20s. Respectful. Maybe a little starstruck. Can I give you a hint?
Go ahead, kiddo.
I don't know if you ever work with them, but I'm pretty sure that you know old Lou. Right? Not Lou O'Shaughnessy, Lou Malone.
Of course.
You remember back in 28, he got shot up real bad and they had to amputate his leg.
I recall.
He hasn't been doing much except, tending bar since then, and anyway, that doesn't matter. Well, You're not just being invited here to get you to accept the invitation to stay and be protected by the family. Lou showed up here tonight. One-legged, 8-fingered Lou. But he had all his fingers. And he had both legs. And he came in, he was all like, "Look at me, I'm healed." He got as close as you and me are to the boss. And then he pulled out a gun and tried to shoot him.
I start coughing. I drop the window down a little bit. I spit outside. And in a very quick and fast and almost nervous way, I bring it back up. And I look at him. In silence for a while, staring right in his eyes. And I remember the kid back then was talking all kind of nonsense. Listen, kiddo. Old Lou Malone. As far as I remember, never had limbs. Was always like a cripple. No, almost like no hands, like one-legged. What kind of nonsense are you talking to me right now?
I know.
And I have like this very stoic, very serious. No, I don't move now. Frozen. Listen. Sir, I don't have time for this kind of nonsense. And I don't have no more laugh in me. Never really had.
He's slowing the car to a stop so he can give you his full attention.
So now either you tell me what's going on, or I'm getting out of the car right now and you deal with your father.
It's not just Mickey tonight, Jimmy. It's the big boss. Maybe you haven't heard. Mickey's missing. Nobody has seen him for days. You didn't hear? He went out with some of his paid police officers. They went out to do a job, and none of them have come back. Everybody everywhere is talking about the job. It was a success. They stole some books from an auction house. But they never came back. He hasn't been home in days. He hasn't called Ma, hasn't called me, hasn't called his mistress, hasn't called his girlfriend, hasn't been in the paper, hasn't been to the bars. He's just gone, and people are saying he's dead. But
I
Lou, I saw him, Jimmy. I saw his hand. I saw him walking. He pulled up his pant leg. It wasn't a wooden leg. It was
since I'm staring at him, my eyes blink for the first time, and I say, "Okay, bring me to the boss."
Thank you, Jimmy. I just, like, I didn't want you to be surprised. I didn't want you to be hit by this news there. I think you've been through enough.
As he, I do his sincere apologies, and I'm looking outside the window, and I'm saying to myself, "What is this nonsense he's talking about? What? Mickey can barely read. Oh, why would he go for books? What is he talking about? Get the old room alone." And this is just blank. Just
Right.
blank. It's just, I'm looking outside the window.
He starts the car up again. You're not very far away from the gates. He slows the car to, a big car, to make a wide turn into the gates. There's two men working at the gates, and there's other men you can see beyond the gates, right? And they're sliding them open. But before he can get the car in the driveway, another car is coming out. And, you can see drivers, just some chauffeur, but you can also see the passenger in the back seat. It's the editor of the Boston Post. It's been in the boss's pocket forever. Must have gotten more or new orders tonight. He rolls out onto the street, and then Rory's able to bring the big car up the driveway to the house. Men rush out of the darkness to open the doors. Rory gives you the nod. He gets out. Guy gets in to continue driving the car off to the garage at the back of the house. Whole yard is covered in snow. Some guys are shoveling the drive, putting salt down. All the places where guards and gunmen should be, they are. House is fully lit. Guys are walking in patrol. They even have the dogs out.
I get out of the car. I put my hat on, very low, as usual, and I follow Rory in.
Front of the house, there's off to the right, there's a billiard room for the boys, right, to be close to the front door in case there's trouble. Across the hall from that, there's a sitting room for more social occasions, like when the mayor drops by. We go deeper into the house, though, and up to the second floor, not to the fake study that's set up on the ground floor, but to the real one, the one that has no windows. There's There's nothing in that room, or at least there never used to be anything in that room except bookshelves and a huge desk and one chair in front of the desk. One tiny, uncomfortable chair. But this time, coming up the stairs and going around the corner, the first thing that's visible isn't that huge desk or that intentionally uncomfortable chair. It's the corpse of old Lou Malone. Flat on his back, arms stretched out, legs stretched out. The thick foreign rug is soaked in the blood from a pretty significant set of head wounds. And there is other, more minor damage to his clothes throughout his torso. Several of the big man's guards must have opened up on old Lou.
I enter the room, always walking with the hand in my pocket, the wide stance, and making sure I'm not, walking on the blood, on the carpet. I look at old Malone, keeping stoic to my face, but inside it's going everywhere. Like, that's not old Lou Malone. That's not old Lou Malone. Can't recognize his face. I'm turning around, looking at Rory. Is this a joke? Who's that lying on the ground there?
It's Lou.
Can't barely recognize his face. So, are
Yeah,
you?
they made a mess.
What kind of a joke is this? So I'm supposed to, like I told you, kid, I don't have no time for this kind of nonsense.
The boss's heavy voice. No one ever calls him anything other than the boss. His heavy voice rolls across the desk and spills onto the floor like cold fog across the wharf. Thunder during the storm. Says, you don't have to take Rory's word for it. That's Lou Malone. Healed.
I turn around, and I'm just turning my head. I'm not moving my body, just turning my head toward the boss, not saying anything. And then I turn around with a different face, looking at Rory. There is some sympathy, some. It's a face of expressing something like, so you were not joking. I look at the buddy again. I look at the boss. And one last time, before I start moving toward the boss, I just look back again at Rory, and I say, thanks for the ride, kiddo. And then I walked slowly toward the boss.
There's a real look of appreciation in Rory's eyes. He nods his head and he backs out of the room, closing the doors. You are as alone as anyone ever is with the boss. There's 4 other men there.
I slowly walk toward his desk. And as I do, as I always did, take my hat off, take my hands out of my pocket, put the hat in front of my crouch, still, the same stand, same posture, and I stand right at the right of the chair, next to the chair, right, not an inch closer to the desk, just making sure that I don't go further. And I'm looking at the bus, and I, with my other hand, I put my hair, my greasy black, hair. I just have a little bit of gray, over the temple, not much.
You look
What's
terrible.
going on? What's going on?
What's going on is that piece of meat tried to kill me. And I take offense. The boy's messed up. You can't see his face. I understand your doubt. There's some extenuating circumstance. After they shot him the first time, he got back up. After they shot him the second time, he got back up. Then they shot him in the head a lot.
My eyes are not blinking. I don't move. I don't breathe. I can't swallow as there's a sense of pressure on the diaphragm and on the skinny chest that I got. And without asking question, completely changing subject, where's Mickey Bus?
Okay. I asked you here. I wanted to give you a space to retire. And I've been thinking about it for weeks, and I've asked you before. And you said no. I don't need it. Okay. But you're not well. And I still need you. Mickey's gone. 5 of our best cops gone with him. And the docs, my docs, some tattooed face lowlife crawled out of the harbor. He marked the buildings, Jimmy. He marked them with an X, and then he took them. We're practically rolled back to the commons. He's sitting in my territory, on my docks, with my booze, and my businesses. And if that's not bad enough, he's healing the sick. He's raising the dead. He's making the blind see. He's making the lame to walk. And he's sending some of them to kill me.
I hear ya. And I turn around, look at the other goons in the room. And then I come back right into the boss's eye, and I say, you know, boss, we've known each other for a long time. And sorry, boss.
You want a drink?
Nah. Back in the days, there was no need for goons in the room.
They're not here for you.
And then and I kind of not raise the voice, but become more from you're asking me to come live with you in the house. That can't do. That's the end of me. You're sending me Rory O'Shaughnessy to drive me here. You keep goons in the room with you when we speak personal matters. And then he's taking time, looking at the ground, take a deep breath, and he says, and you telling me all these nonsense stories? Listen, boss,
Hey,
I
I don't mean to interrupt, but you're going to miss it.
don't even turn around. I say, okay, boss, can we be alone for real? Just a few minutes. Just for all time's sake.
The goon's feet are shuffling. Hear the breathing quickly. And you hear liquid hitting the floor, pouring from somewhere directly behind you.
And for the first time in many years, I sit on the chair in front of the boss. I put my hat on his desk. I sit straight with the end on my thighs, the chest and the chin as up as I can, and it's painful to stand up so long. And I say to him, okay, boss. Okay, boss. Whatever you want. How do you want to do this? I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best to make you feel safe. Make the family feel safe as much as I can until but I don't know how much time I have. I don't know about this nonsense you talked to me about.
At nonsense, a cascade of gunfire. Not at you, not at the boss. You can hear wood chipping, right? Each man firing multiple shots, and then a heavy thump. All behind you.
I jump. As soon as I hear that, I jump over the desk, push the bus on the ground to hide behind the desk.
Dexterity. Times 5. Roll hunter.
I am fast as Eline. I was sitting on the chair with my legs spread wide open. The chair is very hard and uncomfortable and solid, so I utilize my weight over the wooden chair and I jump, and the chair is not very far from the desk, so I manage in one quick leap. My hat that was right in front of me, falling away on the side. I grab the boss by the shoulder, trying to create a wall of my torso, between the sound perspective of the sound behind me and the boss. As I push him back over his chair, and we fall behind the desk, me on top of him.
His huge arms, are gripping you as your spindly arms are gripping him. And the gunfire comes to a cease. And the air is full of that hazy smoke of gunfire. The lamp on the edge of the desk. Gravity pulls it off the desk and it smashes on the floor. One of the goons comes around the desk for a visual check because they can't speak.
I grab my 32 real quick out of my pocket, out of my holster that I have at my ankle, and I put myself between the bus and as much as I can in this situation with my 32 pointing at him. Not saying a word, just looking at him right straight in the eye.
You see his face relax. It's concern. You pull the gun. He relaxes, and he moves back to the other side of the desk.
I put the gun back in the holster. I stand up. I put my hand to help the boss up. I say, "You okay, boss?
You're
you okay, boss?"
You're still as fast as lightning. You only weigh 20 pounds. And then that hard mask of the boss reasserts itself. He says, "Look like I asked you to look before."
I turn around and I look.
The body is not where it was. It was on its back, head toward the door. It's now on its stomach, hands outstretched, this far from the back of that little chair. Slowly, they didn't move it. The boss never lies. It's that little bit too much.
I lick a little bit of my hand up to bring back my hair on the side like this. This can be real, boss. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I know. I know. But I must have moved the chair when I jumped. The chair must have fall back and maybe and I pushed and I know I pushed a little bit the desk at the same time, so the distance may be a little bit different, and probably that the was he standing on his was he lying on I remember he was lying on his side when I came in. Was he lying on his back? I can't remember. My memory, boss, my memory is not as good as it used to be, but
It's okay.
let,
It's
no
okay.
problem. But let me it's but I believe we have problems, though. I will get my stuff at my apartment, and if you have a spare room for me, I'll I'll come and I'll come and and be of service. I'll be close. I think I shall be and then I kind of look around for the hat. The hands are not in the pocket. Um, the movements are still slow, but kind of unease.
The hat's on the corner of the desk where the lamp used to be.
So I go around the desk. I can't stop looking back at Lou Malone, new Lou Malone's new body. Lou Malone supposedly Lou Malone that never saw like I never saw him before I grabbed the hat. Keep it in my head. I was about to put it on my head, but I decided to keep it in my hand. You know, you know, grab a couple of stuff on the ground, put it back on the desk.
So what I was thinking, Jimmy, is that maybe some people in our organization are no longer in our organization. And I'm thinking maybe this new guy, this tattooed face, he bites down on what he's going to say. This Morgan. But maybe people are going to be talking to him. It strikes me that really is Lou Malone. And for years now, Lou Malone has only had one leg. But now he has two. And for some reason, filled full of lead, he just won't die. But I also know that Lou Malone worked for me, but he didn't love me. He wasn't family. So then I'm thinking, what about Jimmy Calloway? God dealt him an ugly card. Got death written all over it. This looks like a new lease on life, Jimmy.
I was still looking at Lou Malone's body. I turn my head around, looking at the boss. I say, just say the word, boss, and I'll do it for you.
All right. Let's plan like the old days.
That's what I'm talking about.
And we'll close the curtain on this first session.
All right. So I have many things I'd like to say.
Well, say them.
What do you say?
Say them.
Oh, say them. Well, I really like it. I really appreciate it. I was a little bit confused at the beginning.
Sure.
Because you say Montreal hospital room.
Did I say Montreal?
Yeah, you said Montreal.
Oh.
So it was Boston, isn't
It
it?
was Boston. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, okay, so it starts me young. In Montreal, it's prohibition. Makes sense. We discussed it before, you know.
Yeah.
You could have said Trois-Rivières because Boston and Trois-Rivières was connected for real.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, he's putting me.
I guess it's just because of looking at you.
That's a Freudian slip.
Yeah.
You will notice when you come back. So I was a little bit confused. So I was like thinking about hospital names in my
Right.
Montreal hospital name. But then I realized, okay, it must have been a mistake.
Yep.
So, you know, I just kept at it.
Sorry about that.
And then, no problem. After that, I was not sure if Mickey was the boss or the boss who was the boss. So I was kind of
Mickey's the
confused
number
with
2 guy. Yeah, that was
so
a detail that probably got lost in the mix.
you said it though. You said if Mickey's gone, Rory's taking number 2. So then you kind of make sense. And then you got me back on track. You said the boss is the boss. He has no name. It's the boss, and it's not Mickey's the boss. All right. So I was like, okay, I know where I'm going. And then when you said the sanity roll, I understood.
Yes.
I deducted. It was easy. I recognized the style from other sessions. But I was like, okay, so I kind of paint myself in a corner because the character is very stoic, very stern. Now, that's all fine and dandy, but now I need how much scared and nervous and, you know, am I gonna go? Because you don't want to go too fast and become too much too soon, because I guess there's some more to come. But it's really intense what you propose. You propose like a guy that used to have no fingers almost and not one leg, and now he's like a full body zombie kind of thing. So I'm like, holy fuck, okay, so how can I make sense of that? But so because I rolled very good, rolled 19. So I'm like, okay, so how?
There has to be a reason. This is ridiculous.
There has to be a reason. So I'm trying to figure out a reason. Now, okay, I bumped the chair. The chair went back. I pushed create some distance. I was trying to rationalize as best as I could.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I trust the boss.
Right.
I'm not, you know, and I have like so much respect and love for these guys. So for me, it was very like a thin line to. But I think it went good.
I liked
really
it.
like it. It reminded me of when we used to play back in the days, trying to be very in character and as character, and I didn't play like that for a long time. I think I never played like that again. Even with my group in person, playing too much Burning Wheel, we can do that. You know.
Yeah.
So
I was worried it might be a little much to do, like present day, flashback, present day again. But I've been getting these impulses for these opening scenes in this campaign. And
it's good. It makes sense. It was easy. It was not hard to get. I didn't want it to do a voice too much because I'm too French. I'm too French to be an Irish Southie. I'm too French. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put some expression here and there and some Boston and some pa and some ma, your ma, where's your ma kind of thing.
Yep. It's good.
But don't want to be too cliche either, because I'm taking notes. I'm gonna tell you a secret, and I'm kind of ashamed, but this is the first time I'm taking notes as a player in a role playing game. I usually go by memory and forget so many things.
There are a lot of names. Yeah.
Yeah, this is too important. There's so many names, so many things. After 5 minutes at the farm, you start describing me like Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight. This is long like this. So I'm like, oh shit. Okay, Dr. Call. He's married. His daughter is married to Mickey the Fist. Took the pen. Okay, this is starting.
Other way around. Mickey the Fist's daughter is married to
Dr. Cal.
Call.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah. So, and then, yeah. So because consistency is important, right? Keeping a certain like we discussed, as a character. I don't want to start with a voice and then lose it. I don't want to start with a certain kind of attitude toward different kind of NPC and lose it. So I need to take notes. So and I will.
Here's a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
There are many ways to do the thing I'm going to talk about, but 2 ways are to give the player like a cast list. Here are all the people you know. With names and some kind of important detail, like the boss. His name is the boss. And, Mickey O'Shaughnessy, number 2 guy in the mob. Rory O'Shaughnessy, Mickey something. Like, we can give people a list of all these things. Or what I did tonight. Over there is Rory O'Shaughnessy. He's Mickey's son, like, the subconscious recognition is what I'm trying to voice. Right? Is that Mick? That's Rory. That kind of feeling. Which do you prefer?
Oh, I like what we do now because it forces me. Because if I have a list, I kind of gonna have just to okay, which one in the list is it? Now I get an imprint because I hear it for the first time and go and then I write it. So I print it. So I think I prefer that. It creates a little bit at the beginning, when I was in front of the porch.
Yeah.
The description of that scene was tricky because I want to describe I think this, I do this, I sense that way. I don't want to start describing the world.
Right.
And so it's hard for me. So I say like, okay, I'm walking toward the entrance in front of the porch. Now I'm kind of establishing stuff that you didn't, or if you did, I did not recall. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to go beyond that. Now what's going on? So they hear me inside. So I kind of tell you this, and now I'm like, I don't want to play that way in this game. So I stopped that.
I saw you realizing that.
Oh yeah. So I stop it. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go that route. So I need to leave stuff untold. And this is kind of important. It's like the stuff that you don't say doesn't matter unless the other wants to make it matter. And now I kind of pass you the torch kind of thing. And so I decided, no, I'm not going to go there. So I'm walking toward the porch and then I'm going to wait. And so you start bring out the character, the NPC that you want to come in, and they stay there and I stay outside and I can be menacing and do all my thing there. And so the scene kind of organically come out of that. And then I got more confident and say, if I am confused in my head, because either there's missing description because you're not a computer, you describe the stuff you want. The only thing I could do is just not mention it. That way I'm not creating more confusion. For example, at one point I was like, okay, there is a driver in the front. So Rory is sitting next to me. But I was not sure if he was sitting next to the driver or if he was in the back with me.
Rory was driving. He sent the driver away.
You see, so I know you sent the 2 guys away. I remember that. You sent the 2 guys with Eddie Driscoll. But if I recall correctly, the 2 guys are bringing Eddie Driscoll to the doctor's office.
Right. They're expected to come down to the car, but the car's not going to be there because you and Rory took it. So he sent the driver off to call for another car.
Okay. So you see, but for some reason, I understood that the car we took with Rory had another driver in it for some reason. I don't know. So I was kind of confused. So instead of asking a bunch of questions, I could ask, maybe I should have. I decided to let it go and then talk to Rory. So I was doing like this, if I'm talking to him, doesn't matter. Maybe he's in the front and diagonal. Those
it was
details are.
really intimidating, right? Like you roll the window down, you look out the window, and then you come back and you're not looking at anybody. You're looking out the other window. They got the side of your face. So Rory driving, looking back out of the corner of his eye is seeing the side of your face.
The side of my face looking at the other window, yeah.
So you're kind of looking at him and kind of not looking at him. So he gets more and more uncomfortable. Like he gets more polite as that drive goes on, and you're kind of hard on him, and so he.
Well, I was because I knew him as a kid, so I realized, okay, Rory is gonna be kiddo. So it's gonna be kiddo in a sense of a lot of love and respect because he's still the boss. He's still ahead of me. But at the same time, I gave him penny when he was a kid. So I was,
Yeah.
But I started the scene at the beginning. I said, "Sir." So I was like, "Okay, how am I gonna go out of that? I'm gonna establish a new name now. I'm gonna establish a new relationship." I think it's I haven't played that way in years. Last time I played that way was with you in the Vale. We were pretty much in.
We're trying.
I was trying it still back in the days. So I'm gonna still work on it, but it was not hard at all. I think I recognize the sign. I know when some more stuff to establish. So I let you speak more instead of jumping.
It will get easier too. Like this is the first session, so it's like here's a parade of people for you to meet that you already know.
Well, I don't. I listened, like I told you, I listened to everything on the playlist, but I recognize the Driscoll. I recognize the name. I recognize the idea. I was trying to make some sense of the doctor's office. I think it's the first session with Ivan. You went there somehow or something like that. Yeah. But I cannot make the connection. I was listening while I was doing the dishes, sleeping at night. So it's not. I was listening, so I got a feel of the way you guys wrote. Yeah. So I don't know that much. I know the Hermetic Order of the Silver Light was something that Silver Twilight was something that you guys discussed. I know I think they have a ring with a sigil, but I don't know about it. I know there is a book because you told me. Now I recognize the thing with the book, so I get hints of stuff, but I'm blind. I don't know. I cannot do. I cannot do metagaming and stuff like that. I'm completely blind. Yeah. So yeah, it was a whole lot of fun, man. Really appreciate it. And for the decks, the characteristic role, I forgot that it was by 10. So you told me by 10. I was like, oh, thank you. Because I forgot. I forgot because I looked at my sheet and I'm like, oh shit, those are single digits numbers.
Yeah, how can I roll under 9 on a percent? No, it's like times 5. Don't worry about it.
Times 5 or times 10?
5.
5? Oh, I think you said 10. Oh, so I have 8. 5 is 30. I roll like 19. Not 19. Yeah, 19. So I was on the right, anyway.
Totally good.
Yeah. Well, I was surprised that I was able to do such a powerful move.
Love the boss.
Love the boss so much. Want to protect the boss, right? And I decided one thing I did at the beginning. I was like, no way I'm gonna go there. Live at the mention of the boss. And then for some reason, I changed my mind. And I find it organically interesting because I look at you said there is a goons in the room with me and the boss. I'm like, why the need for goons? I am you know me, with almost family, and stuff like that.
But they're not there.
I kind of that's what I've noticed. I realized that the boss is scared. So okay, I'm gonna come, and I'm gonna play that thing. Like instead of doing my own way and going to my apartment, I'm losing it anyway. I was thinking about it in the car. I was like, I can't even clean the apartment anymore. Let's try this thing. So it's really interesting. It's like this dying middle age, but old for the era.
Right.
45-year-old gangster in Saudi Dust Bowl era depression. It's kind of old. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go live in the big mansion, see how it goes.
And see how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have a nice impression of Mr. Calloway, and
He's like I told you, I wanted to play a humane sociopathic. Even even if he's he's able to cut your finger, is he able to kill you for no reason? He's he never had a mother. His father just disappeared. He's so the family is his family,
right.
right? So I want some humanity as well in him. So I don't want to be that weird, stupid, just robot kind of guy.
Yeah,
So that's why I told you I told you that the Tom Hanks character in Road to Perdition
yeah,
is a really good example. He's not the real son of the boss, but he's very methodical. He's very cold. He's very pragmatic. And he's gonna do. It's kind of like a mobster paladin, lawful good. I don't know what.
yeah. And
But
compartmentalizing. There's my life and there's my job.
yeah, and in Road to Perdition, I love this movie. It's an amazing movie. The Jude Law is what I didn't want it to do.
Right.
So yeah, because Jude Law is the example of that kind of character, but in a very evil, chaotic, very twisted mind and everything.
Unable to relate to people. Yeah.
Yeah. So how a mobster can trust such an individual, right? It doesn't make sense.
Very far away.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So I have a lot of information. I have a Tattoo Fade Morgan guy. He marked when. Okay, so that's a good question. I want to clarify if you have a few minutes.
Yeah.
You said that he marked X on the Ducks building. He made an X on the Ducks building, and he took the building. What does that mean?
So all of the O'Shaughnessy gang was the premier gang. All other gangs survive because they have permission to live, kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You run this gambling house over there, you make your money, but if I want that business, I'm going to take it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this new gang rolls into the docks, and they just start putting X's on O'Shaughnessy buildings. Who's doing this? Who's marking these buildings with an X? And then almost overnight, the boss has told you, all that territory, all that docks territory, is now owned by the Morgans.
Mm.
Right.
Almost overnight.
Yeah, key gangsters missing. Mickey missing.
Oh,
Hey,
and so they
missing. Yeah.
so they call themselves the Morgans. Morgans. That's not the name of the tattooed face guy, although we have no name yet.
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay, so the Morgans family. Okay.
It's taken this huge territory.
Yeah, you call it the I because when I did some research on Boston, the promotion, not the promotion, what's the name in the harbor, the docks,
there's the promontory, there's the Marblehead, there's Southie, and
you talk about the promontory, is it
the promontory?
Yeah, promontory. I think it's promontory. Yeah, because it's a common name that I've read for the game. I watched a few things, so I remember being in Boston near the docks. This is where the PAX convention is, PAX East.
Yeah, a lot nicer now than in the 30s.
Oh man, it's really clean, very beautiful. Even Saudi is becoming gentrified right now, so it's very different than in that era.
Yeah. So it's in this time that we're playing in, the docks are very rough and tumble. It's business all the time. There's crews from different types of ships coming in.
The rum runners.
And there's
the
all
rum runners.
but there's lots
Yeah.
of crime and all the things that go along with that kind of crime, like prostitution and gambling and drugs, and it's very close to Chinatown, so there's a different kind of drug scene, the opium.
Oh yeah, opium in Boston. Wow.
So there's
Wow.
all of that area. So that was all O'Shaughnessy territory in the game, and now it isn't.
In one night.
That's how the boss described it. He might be exaggerating.
Okay, oh yeah. Okay, guys. Because it could have been some occult powers, in the making. Now, me, what I'm very interested in this game so far in the story is that the relationship between the Hermetic, occult, almost Masonic people, and the mafia, the mobster, the Irish mob. It's kind of weird. It's a weird thing that is being mixed in
Yeah,
the genre, mafia or mobsters, and
like a marriage.
yeah. Well, we can tell. Yeah. There was the marriage. Yeah, of course. Yeah, the daughter with the. Now I see that this has been going on for months now because you have like many sessions in the bank.
Yep.
So do you have like are you planning on ending it, trying to figuring out a way to end it, or is it you just go
It's
and you
open
see
ended.
how it's open ended? Okay.
The only thing I'm thinking is that at a certain point, like we as a group of players, um, might not want to just keep releasing them. We might just want to, record them for ourselves, right? For a record. So there might come a point where I stop releasing episodes to share on YouTube, but play will continue as long as people want to play it.
Hmm. I understand. And why would you, because it's time consuming to edit for
Right.
you? Yeah, that's a lot of job. The music, the voiceover, the little,
Yeah.
because it's a very good and educative playlist. For a lot of people who want to understand how to run mystery or how to play in character as character, because there is a very certain style to it. I was talking to Shauner yesterday. He did this. He's doing this very harsh criticism of people playing. Right? You see that what he does. And I asked him, man, do you get in trouble sometimes? Do you have people, coming back at you? Because in one way, it's educative to have people playing. You stop and you comment on what and you describe. So there's a one way to educate toward that, but it's also harsh on people because if you don't
Right.
ask permission to do it, it's just any case. So for me, I think there is an educational value to that for people who come in the gaming because, like Shauner said to me, he played all his life, but he went and we discussed that we never saw other people play outside our groups.
Right.
Before YouTube,
Until you join them. Yeah.
until you join them, and now with YouTube, we can see different ways of playing, and this is a way that a lot of people uh, idealize. With no dice roll, no mechanic getting in the way. It's just very fluid, very in character, very moody, with flashbacks and stuff. But you've been playing for 45 years, almost 40 years, 42 years, I don't know. So it's a long time. So it's a lot of experience that are being shown. And I think it's and what is cool is that I don't have that experience, but I can learn very quick. You just because I asked you how do you do it, you tell me, and then I can do it
Right.
because I just did. I think
You just did
I
it.
managed. Yeah, and it's not that hard. It's not that complicated. So it has some educational value to keep releasing them, but it's your time. I'm not gonna.
Well,
I'm
if
not
I
gonna.
feel like I've made this note before, I've put this note on this type of scene before, that will be one of those signals to me that I have shown what it is I'm motivated to show.
Yeah. And of course, and then we can keep going, and for the viewers, as a YouTuber, you do like a conclusion video where you say, this was an experiment and this and that. And it's so because you bring a lot of educational value on your channel on YouTube. You know, I've learned so much, and a lot of people are still learning from your stuff.
Well, thanks.
Oh man, it's no problem. And especially this the time you put in this one with the stickers, you know, because I know I missed on the stickers, so I went back a little bit and watched some, and it's like so many information. You know.
Yeah, it's been changing. Like in the beginning, it was a lot more about system. Like there was an early combat, right? I don't explain it to the players. I don't stop play to say we're going to have combat now, and this is what's going to happen. Yeah. It's not one of that style of video that we also have on the channel, right? Where we learn. We played through it. So the annotations come up. If they're interested, they can go back and watch it, and they can see how initiative works and what the die rolls were and that kind of stuff. But later annotations are about what I'm thinking or why I made a particular decision, why I asked for a roll, why I didn't ask for a roll. This is the thing that you're seeing. Like someone has rolled the dice and they have described a failure state. Right? I'm too nervous to do this. And that's my signal about what their roll was. Or they describe a success state, you know, and that's their way of telling me that they succeeded. But in other scenes, someone rolls the dice and say, I rolled 19. And just to point out, this is what has happened. And we could do this or we could do this. Pick one and enjoy it, you know, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's so many different ways to adjudicate the way you want to do things in role-playing games. Yeah. So, and I see that if you want, the thing I've learned throughout the years, and I start to, and I was talking with Ivan about that yesterday, is just that, depending on what you want to do, of course, the game will help, at finding the right game, but there's always also the way you want to do it. Like I'm looking at the character sheet here, and I'm reading the book. I remember some of the way in the book, the way it's explained. It's explained in the book. Is like there's so many things here that I might never use, sure. And it's okay. It's okay, and it's not important that much. You want to get an experience in this kind of game of horror, investigative horror. So you don't want to be putting rules in it, or you don't want to be pushing roles like in the 7th edition. Where you want your character to succeed, so there's no more horror, and today I felt it as a player. I was like, how am I supposed to feel about that? When I was in the car and you say he has his finger and he has his limbs, and I'm like, oh fuck, it's getting serious very quick. It's like, whoa, how am I gonna? And that's the fun with Call of Cthulhu, I think, especially for me as a newcomer, like. How am I supposed to roleplay this uneasy feeling of, are you lying to me? Or my first reaction is, I don't have time for this. I'm not here for jokes,
Well, and I loved that you quickly got that you can't see his face. All right, he's been shot multiple times in the head. It's like,
I'm like, you're lying to me.
It was so.
This is bullshit. I was like, this is bullshit. But I remember, and I'm like, okay, he told me that it's Lou Malone, because in your narration you said you recognize Lou Malone. So I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to see Lou Malone.
I don't want to see Lou Malone.
I don't want to see Lou Malone with 2 legs and all his fingers. And so I say, you beat up his face. You try to, you're trying to set me up here.
What I was thinking was that you get that first shot, and it looks like Lou Malone, like it's believably Lou Malone, and then you keep coming. It's like there's blood soaked into the carpet. He's been shot multiple times in the head, and you're like, I can't see his face.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Well, because I can't believe, I'm not gonna believe right away that a guy that I've knew forever with 1 leg and no fingers, almost like this. Yeah, it was interesting. It was a very interesting scene. And the bus, when the comforting, roaming of thunder voice,
Yeah.
just okay, it's becoming very serious, right? So, it's fun. This is the kind of role play that you don't. I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna be able one day to do that with my uh in-person group here. I should try, but that's not how they learn. They learn with Burning Wheel, they learn with the old school essentials now they play, so it's not the same kind of vibe.
I don't know. Like how do
Yeah,
they? I
yeah,
just have one more comment that I'm going to forget, and I don't want
yeah.
to.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Sitting in the chair,
Yeah.
not turning around, was my favorite moment of many favorite moments in the session.
Mm.
Like I'm imagining that Lou Malone or whoever is sitting up,
In the back, yeah, yeah, yeah. You. That's what you are. Yeah, yeah.
and
Say,
the
look.
liquid is draining out of his and spattering on the floor. And he's sitting up, and
Oh
you're
man,
not. I'm not looking around. Mm-mm.
no. I mean, and I was like, for me, I was in the conversation. I don't remember. I was talking to you. Oh yeah, I was talking to you about the lack of respect kind of thing. I'm like, the
Why are these
guys
guys in the room?
yeah, the one is getting in the room and stuff like that. And you say, look, me, I think that you're just saying, look, there's Blue Malone on the ground. This is the reason why I want you here. And I'm like, I had enough of that. So, you know,
Yes,
and then you make noise of footsteps coming. And I'm thinking, oh, those are the goons leaving the room, walking in the blood. So
that's
it's
people
just normal.
drawing their guns and getting their position, and the guy crawling across the floor.
And I just didn't I didn't saw that at all. So, pa 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 pa, poof, I jumped, and so the scene is just this is organic. This is very very in character. I never, and you were on kind of on the other side watching all this. That must have been interesting
It was
because
good.
you knew the guy, the zombie is coming or the Lumalone corpse is coming, and so if I turn around, you would have a great description, right?
But if you don't turn around, it's even better. And then if you're awesomely heroic, it's even better.
I wonder what would happen if if I would have missed my role. Uh, I would have. I don't know how I would have described because I would have. If I missed, I would have wanted to let you know. Maybe you would have preferred me to say that I missed, so you can get the control of the thing, or I could have
Well,
said, "Tell me what you prefer. Tell me what you prefer." Either I
you've
say I
created this
failed.
character with leukemia. So
Yeah.
what I would expect is that you have an opportunity to experience the difference. You were in that flashback scene, young, healthy, powerful, intimidating, and now you had to sit down in the chair.
Mhm.
And then when the moment of action comes, you can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, that's a good idea. I would have said something like, "I hear the as I hear the guns in the back, I get nervous and it puts a pressure on my chest and I just can't stand." I should have something like that, and
Something
then
like
you can
that,
take over.
or you do
Yeah,
jump at the desk, but of course you can no
I
longer get
yeah, I
over the
can no longer, so I fall over it, something like that. Yeah, I could have started the narration, then leave it to you or something like that.
yeah.
That's better. You need to be creative. You need to think. You need to think fast because you left the results away, so you don't. You just narrate. But that's cool for you. That's very cool for you because you saw the zombie like in the back, and I never saw it. Never saw it.
You can see that in a movie,
But
in a graphic novel or
yeah.
something, that kind of scene.
Hmm.
So I was happy that took place. But the thing that I was going to say before was with your group,
Mm.
how do they imagine? Like, are they when you're playing Burning Wheel or when you're playing Old School Essentials now, are they processing information and not imagining what's happening?
It's
Maybe you haven't talked about it. Yeah.
oh, we never talked about it. But if I try to answer it, we are learning the game a lot. The game is easy to learn, but we
Right.
are still learning,
Yeah.
right? They still focus a lot on not dying because the game is very it's I play by like I said I play by the book. I don't fudge, so it's very like Eloy told Ivan this morning. He said playing OSE or playing old school Dungeons and Dragons without lethality, it's kind of like playing poker without the chips.
Yeah.
That's Eloy's analogy. So I'm like, so they are very into that experience. So a lot of procedure, a lot of dice rolling, a lot of numbers going around. So it's very clumsy, not a lot of room. But when we are in the cities, when we are in the town, or after the procedural dungeons and combat and random encounter and all that, I stop and I let them role play. And they are a good role player. They are good. So they get in character and they start talking and all that.
So are they talking? I want to do this.
Yes,
so I do that?
yes,
That's what they're doing,
yes,
right?
yes.
So,
And they speak in character and all that. Yeah. But it's like short moments between big procedures,
sure.
and Burning Wheel gets in the way the same way. Blades in the Dark as well, because they have so much currencies and possibilities. Burning Wheel is all about creating your dice pool, right? So I
Right.
get a fork, I get a helping dice, and that takes away
Sure.
all the mood, right? So yeah, it's part of the whole idea that Question B's video he said recently that went almost viral.
Right.
About the mothership guy and the guys who's used D&D 5e to play a narrative story.
Yeah,
This video.
this is my point, right? You've got
Yeah.
the core seeds, right? They imagine they're used to talking to each other in character. Currently, they're used to big interruptions.
Yeah.
So can they develop a comfort with longer periods of role play or periods where the system is obviously happening, but a roll to make it work isn't necessary? Like, I had your character sheet the whole time, right? I'm telling you things like insights into people and whatnot. I'm keeping an eye on it, and this is something I can safely tell you because you're that good, right? Doesn't need a roll, and so can you bring your group along into this type of play? It sounds like all the building blocks are there. So in the Questing Beast example, you've got a guy using 5e but running a highly dramatized game, relying on his personal skills of improvisation. So without those improvisational skills, can the game that he runs be run? Not without learning those improvisational skills, those non-system related elements, right? So
yeah, it's a journey. It's a journey. You take practice. You've been playing Call of Cthulhu for a long time. You know well the game. It shows. So it's easier for you maybe to allow a newcomer to do this. Me, I'm learning the game with them, so I'm still,
sure.
still learning. I'm gonna need a couple of years maybe to reach such a level with let's say OSC, and OSC might not be the good game for that, right? As well.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
I would.
if a
Go
group
ahead.
likes playing multiple characters, like in an Ars Magica way, or being able to jump back and forth between a main player character, or they have a fighter character and they have a magic user character and they have henchmen. If they like taking on these different roles, then the lethality of BX or OSE doesn't matter.
Oh, the lethality they enjoy, they embrace it, they like it. Of course, yeah. That's not a problem for lethality. But the problem that I talked with Ivan yesterday was, it's so little, that how do you reach character development? There's no time. You just don't reach it, and it's very hard because
It's
level
one of the rewards.
Yeah, it's one of the rewards. And that's the whole idea. And that's what I sold them to that. And they like, oh my God, that's interesting. And now they are
Trying to
trying
survive.
trying to survive just to, get to know the character. And one guy died. He was level 3. He was a thief. And he just killed a chimera in one shot with a magic item. It was amazing. And he died eaten by beetles on the way back. One day left on the journey on the way back. And they got a random encounter, 3 beetles,
Right.
giant beetle, tiger beetle kind of thing.
Yep.
It just got eaten alive. And he just killed the chimera with, it was heroic. It was amazing. And then he just died. And it was a shame. For real, I was just, oh man, it's too bad. It's part of the game, right?
Did you feel the urge to fudge?
Oh, I don't do that anymore.
What?
I did that the first couple months I played before I went over YouTube, like way back. I was playing Shadowrun 4th edition,
Yeah.
and I was trying to, and then one of the guy I was playing with he's kind of like a genius in his head with the numbers, and when I fudged one time, he said that's not possible.
That number is
I was
not
like,
possible.
yeah. So I was like, ah. And then he explained to me what fudge was, and I was like, didn't know. I didn't know that I was doing something that people used to do for a long time. And then I went over YouTube, and then I realized, oh shit, okay, there is a world of stuff. And then
Yeah.
I stopped right away. I felt bad. I felt ashamed.
That's
And
interesting.
then
There are people that react to it really strongly as something they can never do. There's people who completely reject that premise and say, but of course, and then in the middle, it's just a technique. It's one thing that you can do.
Seth Tarkovsky. Seth Tarkovsky is famous for that. He made a video. He's famous, he likes Quantum Ogre, he likes that. And he has the right argument for it, right? It's not a bad argument that he's proposing. It's just that it takes away all the reason why you play a game. It just takes away all the if that opportunity is there, because he's really in the middle. He's like, you don't do that all the time. You do that in these very rare, very specific circumstances.
For a purpose. You use it for a purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, for a purpose, like very rarely. But man, if you start doing that, we don't have trust. We don't have. It's something, I don't know. For me, it's not something I can.
I'm thinking somewhere on this perspective, there are people who don't lose trust because of this type of technique. They see it as art, like a skillful modulation of the story. And you and I are saddled with a negative reaction to it. We can't appreciate that artfulness.
No, because I want to die. I remember I made it. I remember I made a video. I made a video. I said I think back in the day was I want to die. It's important. It's important that I can die, right? And then you had this great example of the BattleTech campaign where at the end, you're right.
I love that campaign so much.
So because at the end it's just wow, it's the most anticlimactic thing ever, and it's just.
But it was
amazing.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the last BattleTech campaign that I've played in. There'll be more in the future, but currently it's the last one I played in. So it's kind of an interesting bookend that my very first BattleTech game, I won the game by getting a double headshot. The last man standing got a great double headshot on this far superior opponent. Yeah. And then this last character, that's how he gets taken out, is a headshot. And
I hope that in any case, I hope I will manage to see the end of Jimmy. I think it's a very interesting character somehow, in a very interesting setting. I'm curious about what you have in mind. Now it's one of the thing where I usually don't. I want to know I want to create an organic thing, everybody together. But now it's like, no, this one is, there is a GM, there's a keeper of lore, that there's the investigator, like it's an investigation. So I want to know what you have in mind. Where are you bringing this thing, right? And how I'm gonna fit in that. How am I gonna be a pathetic, pathological man who just ends up like, or am I gonna try to do good one last time and be an heroic, or I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I might just turn insane as well, which is a completely other
that's
end.
that's in the dice. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very it's fun. It's
Good.
fun. I hope I'll get to play with Ivan and the other guy, or Brian. Never played with Brian. So I don't know if these characters are gonna connect one day.
With your schedule, you're more likely to be able to hook up in time with Brian Gregory, and that'd be really interesting. The treasury agent and and the mob.
Yeah, and of course I never played with him.
Yeah.
We had a few conversations over Google Hangout like 12 years ago, and conversation, different video response, but I never played with him. And he's good. He's really, really like man, he's quick-witted, this guy.
Yeah.
He has such a mind.
Yeah.
So if but I can play with Ivan, because Ivan was supposed to play last night, Eastern time, around 7 or 8 Eastern time.
8.
So if that 8 or 9 or something like that. So if that's his time, I can do it as well.
Oh, excellent! You're the swing vote.
Oh, I can do. I have a lot of time on my hand as a teacher.
Cool.
I have so it just depends on your schedule, I think.
Right. So I'll let both of those teams know that it's possible to pull somebody in, and just like we did with the second session, like, okay, there's players available in this time zone, and Ivan said I need to get a photographer, and so that brought in Joe, and then they realized pretty quickly that they needed an expert to answer some questions, and so that brought in Brian Courtmarsh, and so
now who needs a hitman? Now who needs an enforcer? a sick, dying.
Maybe
enforcer.
They don't need a hitman. Maybe they need a really sick guy.
Yeah.
All right. I will talk to you soon.
Yes. Talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.